Once upon a time, in the village of Obanta, Mama Nke's jollof rice was the stuff of legends. No wedding, no festival was complete without her rice. Her small food stall, which started out humble, had been transformed into a booming restaurant. Locals and even outsiders from neighboring towns came to taste her food. She was the queen of the pot, and her restaurant was now the busiest business in Obanta, bringing in money like rain on the farm. But as her restaurant empire grew, so did the rumors. Her rice, people whispered, is the reason her business exploded. What is she hiding? What is her secret? The villagers grew obsessed, desperate to uncover the recipe behind Mama Inkem's success. Some believed the recipe was locked in an old book, while others swore it was something mystical, a spice only known to Mama Inkem. And even though Mama Inkem was getting older, she wasn't about to let anyone know. Her food had become more than just food. It was the key to wealth, the key to status. That's what many people think. If someone cracked her recipe, they would own the entire village. And Mama Inke knew it. That's when she made her famous declaration. It was the Festival of Palms, a time when the village came alive with dance, laughter, and music. Mama Inkem stood at the center of the village, stirring her pot of rice. Everyone gathered around, eyes wide, hoping to see who would get the chance to taste her creation. But then she said something everyone least expected. A few weeks from today, I will cook my last pot of rice. Only one person would have a taste of it, and that one person would earn the recipe. So, starting today, I will observe and choose who is qualified to get my recipe. People were stunned. This wasn't just about a pot of rice anymore, it was about legacy and something far greater. Everyone wanted that recipe. They needed it. The village could feel the tension in the air. After the announcement, things got weird. People started showing up at Mama Nkin's house at odd hours. Some would stand at her door for hours hoping for a chance to talk. Others would try to sneak in, hiding behind bushes or climbing trees to catch a glimpse of her stirring the pot. Chief Dogo, the richest man in the village, tried to impress Mama Inkem by gifting her a goat named Diplomacy. Yes, that was the goat's name. But when she refused it, he quickly changed tactics. He started sending a daily supply of imported spices, hoping to bribe her into revealing her secrets. But Mama Inkem wasn't moved. It wasn't just food she was cooking, it was power, and the power wasn't for sale. Through it all, Chiamaka, a young lady, watched quietly from the side, observing her elders scramble for that precious rice. She didn't beg, she didn't bribe, she didn't shout like everyone else. She simply helped Mama Nkim in small ways, carrying firewood, chopping vegetables, and asking questions like, Mama, how do you know when the rice is ready without even tasting it? That question, simple but profound, was the exact question Mama Nkim had once asked our own grandmother. Chiamaka had no idea that in asking that question, she was unlocking a deep connection to a legacy far greater than she could have ever imagined. Finally, the day came. The village was packed. Everyone gathered to see who would be the chosen one to taste the last pot of rice and get the recipe. Chiamaka stood there, nervous but calm, watching the spectacle unfold. But Mama Nkim didn't call out the name of a rich villager or a loud politician. Instead, she simply walked to Chiamaka and handed her a small bowl of rice. For a second, the entire village went still. Chiamaka was confused, but she took the bowl, and as she did, Mama Inkin leaned and whispered, "This is your inheritance. The recipe is more than a set of ingredients. It's about how you use it, who you share it with, and what you create." Chiamaka's heart raced. She didn't know what this meant, but she knew that Mama Nkem wasn't just passing down a recipe, she was passing down a legacy. But as Chiamaka turned to leave, the villagers who had been so desperate to taste the rice began to crowd around. They wanted what she had. They wanted the recipe. "Give us the recipe," Chief Dogo shouted. "We will make you rich beyond your dreams." "I will buy the recipe," Ijeoma, the palm wine merchant, shouted, holding out a sack of gold coins. But Chiamaka stood firm. She knew something they didn't. The recipe wasn't just for making money. "I won't sell it," she said. "The recipe is not just in the rice. It's in how you cook, how you care, and how you treat people." Soon thereafter, Mama Inkem passed. Word spread quickly that Chiamaka wasn't selling the legendary rice recipe. But that didn't stop people. No, they didn't want the rice anymore. They wanted the recipe. Her small food business had turned into a mecca for food lovers and business opportunists alike. People would line up, not for the food, but for the chance to observe her, hoping to catch a glimpse of her secrets. They would come, sit, eat, and leave without a word. No one asked for a second helping anymore. They were too busy studying how Chiamaka served her rice. It became a village circus. One man, Mr. Nkem, would order rice and then spend an entire hour staring at Chiamaka's pot as if he were watching a magic trick. Yes, yes, he would mutter to himself. "This is where the secret lies." Another regular, Mrs. Ifoma, would come every single day, pretending to forget her wallet, hoping Chiamaka would feel sorry and reveal something, maybe even slip up and mention an ingredient she didn't mean to. "Ah, Chiamaka, you know me well," she'd say with a smile. "We've been neighbors for years. You're like family. Please, can you remind me how you did that rice?" Meanwhile, Chief Dogo, the village chief, was getting desperate. His niece, Ungazi, who just returned from the big city where she'd finished school, and he knew she was the perfect candidate to sneak into Chiamaka's kitchen and uncover the truth. Ungazi was smart, smooth, and had an innocent air about her, the perfect combination for a spy mission. "Ungazi, darling," Chief Dogo said one evening, adjusting his bits like he had just made a huge decision. "I need you to go to that rice place. You've been around the city, you know how to handle things. Go learn from Chiamaka, observe everything, and get her secret." Ungozi raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical of her uncle's request. "Chief, what if I get caught?" she asked, leaning back. "What if she finds out? I can't risk my reputation." "Oh, please, you won't get caught," Chief Dogo said, nodding reassuringly. "Just act sweet, ask questions, and pretend to be interested in learning. You will be fine. Besides, no one will ever suspect you." Ngozi reluctantly agreed, giving her uncle a side eye. The game was on. The next morning, Ngozi showed up at Chiamaka's restaurant, looking like she had just walked out of a city magazine. With a bright smile and a sweet voice, she greeted Chiamaka. "Madam Chiamaka, I've heard so much about your rice. I just had to come and learn from the best." Chiamaka looked at Ngozi with a knowing smile. Ah, Ngozi, you're welcome, but I am flattered. The two young women sat together, and Ngozi asked question after question, pretending to be so curious about the rice process. She asked everything from the grains of rice to the perfect amount of salt. Tell me, Chiamaka, Ngozi asked, eyes wide in faint surprise. How do you always know the exact moment to turn off the heat? I've never tasted rice like this before. Chiamaka smiled mysteriously. Ah, Ngozi, if I tell you, I will have to retire. You see, rice is like life. You don't rush it. You can't control everything, but you can feel when it's time. Ngozi nodded, pretending to be deep in thought. But inside, she was taking mental notes, certain that she was about to uncover the biggest culinary secret of all time. Then came the day Ngozi realized something shocking. While waiting for Chiamaka to go fetch some ingredients, she took it upon herself to snoop around. She opened the cupboard, trying to look under the table, and even peeked into the kitchen drawers. But guess what she found? Nothing. Absolutely nothing that could be called a secret. Chiamaka had no special book, no magical spice jar, no hidden drawers with ingredients unknown to the world. There was no mystical ingredient. All there was a perfect balance of love for the food and the people she served. That evening, Ngozi went to Chiamaka and asked, I've been learning a lot from you, but I still don't understand. What's the secret to your rice? Chiamaka smiled gently and said, You've already found it, Ngozi. The secret isn't in the ingredients or the pot. It's in how you cook, how you treat people, and how you care about what you do. For a moment, Ngozi stood there in stunned silence. She chuckled. So all my snooping was for nothing. I didn't find a golden spoon or a magical spice, she said to herself. The recipe is in the spirit, not in the pot. If you treat people well, they will come back. That's the real secret. Ngozi, now realizing the true lesson, grinned. Well, I guess I will never be a rice thief, but I will always have a great story to tell. After many months of pretending and spying, Chief Dogo was growing impatient. His niece still hadn't uncovered the secret recipe behind Chiamaka's rice. The last part that brought joy, healing, and unity to the entire village. So one evening, pacing restlessly in his compound, Chief Dogo muttered to himself, If I can't get that recipe, then no one should. Driven by envy, he handed Ngozi a tiny pouch of dried herbs and said, Put this in her rice. It will make the villagers stool for days. Let's see if they will still praise her then. Ngozi hesitated, but the pressure was too much. The next market day, while Chiamaka stepped out to fetch more firewood, Ngozi reached for the pot to drop the herbs in. Just a pinch. But right there, Chiamaka caught her red-handed. Ngozi froze. Her knees gave in. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't want to. My uncle, he made me do it. Please, I'm sorry. But to her greatest shock, Chiamaka didn't shout. She didn't cry. She just smiled softly and said, Ngozi, I've known all along. I saw the fear in your eyes from the very first day. But you were hungry for more than just rice. You were hungry for approval. I forgive you. Ngozi stood speechless. Chiamaka continued. But I have one request. Let's play along. Go tell your uncle that you succeeded. And so she did. Chief Dogo rushed to the palace, sweating and panting. Your Majesty, I saw her, Chiamaka. She's poisoning the food. Watch what happens after the villagers eat it. The villagers gathered as usual. The pot was served and they ate. But nothing happened. In fact, they danced harder, laughed louder, praised Chiamaka even more. The king said to Chief Dogo, unimpressed, "So where is the poison?" He had no answer. It turns out that Chiamaka never served that pot of rice that day. They had prepared a different one. As for Ngozi, she became Chiamaka's closest apprentice. But as the days went on, Ngozi began to realize that Chiamaka was not only teaching her how to cook, but also teaching her something deeper. Chiamaka wasn't just passing on a recipe, she was passing on a way of life. She shared wisdom, patience, and the importance of community, all while teaching her about rice. Every moment she spent with Chiamaka, Ngozi felt more and more at ease, and somehow the recipe didn't even seem as important anymore. The food business became the center of the village. The chaos in the village had reached a boiling point. It started with whispers of greed and envy, but soon it turned out into outright accusations. People weren't getting the recipe, so they lied. They went to the king, claiming that Chiamaka was using unethical methods to prepare her rice. Some said she was using magic, even though no one had ever seen her with magic. While others spread rumors about her secretly adding strange ingredients that only she knew about. It got so bad that some villagers even planted things around her restaurant: bags of strange herbs, mysterious powders, suspicious jars of something that looked like burnt leaves, all in an effort to make her appear suspect to the king. One day, the king got tired and he summoned Chiamaka. "Chiamaka," he bellowed from his throne, "you stand accused of unethical cooking practices. The villagers have claimed that you've used dark arts to make your rice irresistible. What do you have to say for yourself?" Chiamaka, who had been sitting quietly, shrugged and said, "I'm just here to cook, Your Majesty. But if they insist, I'll give them the recipe they want." The villagers gathered around, murmuring with excitement. They had caught her, and now she would finally have to confess her secret. As Chiamaka stood before the king, she sighed and smiled warmly. "I will tell you the truth," she said, "and you will see that the secret is nothing more than a trick of time." The villagers leaned in, eager to hear. With the entire village watching, Chiamaka began. "Mama Nkem taught me a trick," she said. "It's just an old secret passed down from her grandmother." The crowd grew quiet in anticipation. You see, rice needs a little patience. The trick isn't in the magic or in some strange spices. The secret is in letting the rice burn just a little. The villagers gasped. "What?" they whispered. "She burns the rice?" "Oh, yes," Chiamaka continued. "Just a little. You let it creep up at the bottom, not enough to ruin the flavor, but just enough to give it a depth, a slight char that adds a bit of complexity." She paused and then added, "Mama Nkem's grandmother taught her this long ago. It's really not about ingredients or special tricks. It's just about timing and patience." The crowd was stunned. The king's eye widened. He couldn't believe it. The legendary secret was nothing more than burning the rice. Like, for real? That's all? But then came the real shocker. Chiamaka continued. Mama Nkem never passed down a magical recipe. No, she knew something the village didn't. She knew that if she told everyone that she had a special recipe, they would all flock to me. And they have. The crowd froze, trying to make sense of what they were hearing. Chiamaka went on with a grin. Mama Nkin's plan worked brilliantly. She knew the real recipe wasn't about the rice at all. It was about the greed. The villagers thought they could buy or steal the secret, but all they were doing was coming to eat, day in, day out, spending their money. That was the real deal. Everyone fell silent. Even the king was silent for a moment, processing what he had just heard. The truth was far less exciting than anyone had imagined, but it was far more powerful. It was the greed and desire for the recipe that made the rice so special because people were invested in it. They weren't just paying for food, they were paying for the illusion of some secret. The king stood up, eyes twinkling with amusement. Well, Chiamaka, ha ha ha, he said with a hearty laugh. I am not punishing you for cooking rice. It seems the villagers have been tricked by their own greed. I will make a royal decree that all rice in Ogbanta must be served with a hint of burn from now on. It's the only way to keep the charm alive. The villagers, now thoroughly embarrassed, look at one another. The ruse had been exposed. They realized they hadn't been interested in the rice at all. They had all been interested in the idea of a secret, something to own, something to claim. Chiamaka smiled, but there was a twinkle of mischief in her eyes. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will continue to serve rice, as I have always, with a little bit of love and a little bit of burn. As the villagers slowly shuffled away, Chiamaka looked around at her growing line of customers and said to herself, it's not about the rice, it is how you served it. And once again, she got away without sharing her secret recipe. Hey, mama lovers! Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Now tell me, does letting rice burn a little give it any special flavor? Also, I've heard so many disputes about which country prepares the best jollof. What do you think? And finally, can you guess what the secret jollof recipe is? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you've not already done so, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. That's a way to show that you love Mama Stories in Jay's voice. See you in our next story, and bye bye.